What is up, DS3TV? We are back for another video. This one is Genghis Khan of all Mongols. So I guess this is when he becomes truly the king of the Mongols. And yeah. So this is his, the start of the rise. This is like well, not rise to power, we already watched that, but this is the start of the actual power. So yeah, let's get into it. And this should be a great video. We probably, I think we got maybe two episodes left in this series, and then I know we're finishing up the American President series today too, so that should be good. Yeah, so let's look into this video right now. Play.
Is 1202, the dawn of a new century. Temujin Khan now rivals Jamaica in power. The future of the Mongols could fall to either of them. And Temujin, already a radical, is about to institute yet another set of revolutionary changes to a society that has hardly changed at all in 1,000 years. 1 year after the defeat of the Taichit, an aging Ong Khan sent Temujin on a new campaign to once again plunder the Tartars. Gotcha. Having now grown as a leader and a warrior, Temujin introduced new changes and tactics which would forever alter the way battle was done on the steppe. See, traditional Mongol raids had warriors rushing into camps while their victims either fled or stayed to defend their possessions. The fighting would then devolve into chaos as the raiders raced to loot and pillage, trying to grab the best prizes for themselves rather than chasing down enemy warriors. Temujin realized that these acts of personal greed got in the way of a more complete victory and left his troops vulnerable to counterattack from resentful enemies. This raid would be different. He declared that no looting would take place until total victory had been accomplished. Looting would then be done in an organized fashion, with all goods being brought to Temujin and then redistributed among his followers, using much the same system that mountain hunters used to distribute kills at the end of a group hunt. Temujin also ordered that a share of the wealth be allocated to anybody widowed or orphaned as a result of the raid.
That's a good thing.
This ensured that what had happened to his mother when his father was killed would never again happen to another Mongol family. These changes guaranteed him the support of the poorest people in the tribe, and inspired loyalty among his soldiers, who now knew that their families would be cared for if they fell in battle. But these changes alienated some of his more well-off followers, as it denied them their traditional right to distribute prizes to their underlings as they saw fit.
But that's such a wrong way to go about it, though.
Still, it was a trade worth the making, as this move greatly centralized the power of his rule and incentivized loyalty. In enriching Temujin, his followers were also enriching themselves. This new system was a resounding success. For the second time, Temujin defeated the Tartars, and by postponing the looting until the end of the campaign, the army amassed more wealth than ever before. There was, however, a new problem. In keeping with their usual policy of executing leaders and integrating everybody else, they had now captured almost an entire army and all of the civilians. The old method had worked great when they were dealing with a clan of hundreds, but the Tartars numbered in the thousands. It was imperative to Temujin to end the vicious, constant conflicts between steppe lineages, and it seems to him that integrating everyone under one unified banner was the only way to achieve this. But in order to bring the numerous Tartars into his Khanate, he would need the full support of his followers. He summoned a Kurultai to discuss a solution, and the one they found was vicious but effective. They summoned all of the Tartar men and ordered each one to walk by a cart. Every male taller than the linchpin, which held the wheels on the cart, was executed. Once the older and larger Tartar males were culled, the remaining men and their families were taken in as full members of his tribe. Temujin adopted another Tartar orphan and took 2 aristocratic Tartar women as additional wives. That handled, Temujin had yet more ancient traditions to abolish. If he really wanted to establish lasting peace among the steppe tribes, he would have to radically transform their military and tribal system. He would have to do away with the traditional system of kin groups altogether. He organized his warriors into squads of 10, who were then ordered to live and fight together. These groups...
So that way they know each other, and that'll build that bond. because honestly, it's like you know, like with like a basketball team or a sports team, how you can build that bond if you stay with that team, you know, or you know, like that set group of people for a long amount of time, and you will build a bond with that group, and that'll make the group as a better, you know, like the group stronger, and it's not going to be a weak link, a weak link in that chain, you know, that's in the military in this instance.
Were of mixed origin and lineage. By forcing people to serve as units rather than kin groups, Temujin managed to break their ancient lineages and ethnic identities. Each squad began with the oldest as their leader, but they could elect any man among them if they chose. 10 of these squads formed a company of 100 men, one of whom they elected to be their leader, and 10 of those companies formed a battalion of 1,000 individuals. The leader of each battalion was chosen by Temujin, further cementing his power. And, under the new system, all members of the tribe, regardless of age or gender, had to perform public service for the benefit of the tribe, including caring for herds, gathering fuel, cooking, repairing weapons, or even performing music to entertain the troops. And just like that, there were no more lineages or classes. Everyone worked for the benefit of the tribe, and everyone reaped the rewards. Finally,
it wasn't called communism, but honestly, this is probably the best way that it will work, and this is how it was supposed to work in theory. If anybody like you know, doesn't know too much about communism, it was supposed to be everybody gets the same and everybody gets, you know, richer. That's kind of the I'm definitely simplifying it a lot. I want to say that now, but yeah, definitely if you read like Karl Marx's book, it's basically, you know, everybody is the same and everybody gets, you know, treated the same, gets the same food, everybody lives good. That's how it's supposed to work in theory. Did not work like that when it came to the Soviet Union or other communist nations that you might have seen, because it really has not worked as well in practice, I would say. Now, capitalism sounds bad in practice, but sounds bad in theory, but it works in practice with the USA and, you know, a lot of other nations. But definitely, it's I would say like communism works definitely better in theory than it actually can in the real world, which kind of sucks. But yeah.
Temujin created a closed territory designated as the homeland of the Mongols. For its location, he chose the sacred site where he had hidden from the Merkit raiders in his youth, and he closed it to all outsiders except the Mongol royal family, who would continue to bury their dead and conduct ritual gatherings there for the next 2 centuries. This land became the secret ritual center of the new Mongol identity. After almost 20 years of work, Temujin now controlled most of the Mongols, but Jamaica was still a large and looming threat. Ung Khan was getting older, but it was not yet clear who would take over for him. So Temujin decided to force Ung Khan's hand, and proposed that his eldest son, Jochi, marry one of Ung Khan's daughters. This would be an acknowledgement of Temujin as his heir. Ung Khan's eldest son, who had no following of his own, was envious of Temujin's power and relationship with his father, and strongly encouraged Ung Khan to reject the proposal, despite the fact that doing so would be a grave insult. Ung Khan was swayed, and he rejected Temujin outright. Fearing a military response, though, Ung Khan quickly devised a nefarious plot to rid himself of Temujin through trickery. He sent Temujin a message saying that he had changed his mind, setting a wedding date and inviting Temujin to come alone to celebrate with the family. So Temujin set out with a small band to see his patron, confident that he was about to secure his position to succeed Ung Khan as future ruler of the Central Steppes. Then, just 1 day's ride from Ung Khan's court, one of Temujin's allies rode up with terrible news. Ung Khan had an army nearby, preparing to wipe him out. Temujin was trapped. Wildly outnumbered, separated from his allies with the enemy at his heels, he could not afford to fight. He did the only thing he could do. He ordered his small group to scatter in all directions and fled. Temujin was devastated. This was supposed to be his moment of triumph. When he reunited with his followers far from Ung Khan's territory, he found that only a few remained. Some of his relatives had deserted in a panic. Others had simply gotten lost on the steppe. Now what few remained faced starvation in their remote exile, and his newly united people were now without their leader. Temujin resolved to act quickly while Ong Khan basked in the glory of his victory. He sent messengers to his tens of thousands of followers, hoping that they would follow his order to...
You can't, yeah, you can't bask. He was still going by the old law too, like, you know, just raid and, you know, raid their stuff and loot their stuff, and they'll be fine if, you know, and just left all the people. Like, he was still going by the old rule. Like, Temujin knew that you should not do that, and honestly, yeah, that's why he was still asking, and Temujin was like, no, we're going back at it, and we're going back harder, you know, we're gonna go back at them and go back harder, because that was a, you know, like, disgrace, that was disrespect to him.
To assemble, and amazingly, they did. Imagine tens of thousands of people, separated from their leader but still converging, maintaining order and discipline. This was the effect of Temujin's new discipline, his new societal structure. This army thundered toward the unsuspecting Ong Khan, who feasted and celebrated in his palatial golden yurt. Loyal followers had gone so far as to leave fresh horses for Temujin's army along the way, so they could continue night and day without resting.
Wow.
In the middle of the night, and without warning, Temujin's army completely surrounded the enemy camp and crashed down on Ong Khan's court, days before he thought they'd arrive. Nobles fled in all directions, including Ong Khan and Jamukha, who managed to escape the fighting and flee to the nearby Naiman tribe, the greatest of the tribes not yet conquered by Temujin. Jamukha made it safely across the Naiman border, but Ong Khan was stopped by a guard who couldn't believe that this haggard old man was the great Khan he claimed to be, and killed him.
Oh, wow.
Temujin now turned his sights to the Naiman, Jamukha's new ally. Now, at last, the decisive battle against Jamukha had finally come. For the first time, Temujin's new military organization would be put to the test in an all-out battle. Squads of 10 advanced silently in the pre-dawn darkness, so the enemy couldn't see how many people were attacking or from which direction. The squads would then attack and then immediately flee in different directions, making retaliation impossible. After hours of these harrying hit-and-run attacks, Temujin advanced with a long line of troops who fired their arrows and then melted back behind the next line, their replacements. The Naiman attempted to counter this by spreading out a long, thin line to meet the attacking archers and avoid being flanked. In response, Temujin switched tactics yet again, rearranging his men into a narrow, deep configuration which allowed them to chisel through the thinned Naiman lines. Victory was swift and complete. Jamukha fled again, and, in a poetic twist of fate, ended up hiding in the woods just as Temujin once had as a boy, himself now a disgraced outcast bandit at the age of 40. In time, his followers found and delivered him to Temujin. Jamukha asked only for an honorable death, which Temujin granted. It was finally over. Temujin had won. At long last, he was to become the Khan of all Mongols.
Powerful title for a powerful man. He did it the right way. I mean, honestly, I couldn't think that he did it anything wrong. You know, he changed a lot of stuff and it seemed to work. Also, thank you guys for watching the video. Subscribe to me. Want to get to 1,000 subscribers by my birthday. We're at 738. We are getting really close. I can't honestly believe how close we're getting. And talk to you guys in the next video. And yeah, peace.